Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back once again to The Drop, the official podcast of TheDropNews.com. I am your host, Josh Sharp, as always, and joining me today is the same people. We should get some more guests on here sometime. Let me know if you're interested. Hit me up. We have David Hutchison in the house. What's going on, man?
What is going on? I have been waiting for 2 days to talk about this film, so I'm so glad that we're finally sitting down, and I'm so ready to talk about this.
Yeah, it's kind of my fault because we didn't record Friday. No, actually, no. It's your guys' fault. You're just like, oh no, we can't record today. So yeah, that's why this is late. I'm sorry, but I mean, we're still doing it. Also, up with us today, we have Andrew Lilly in the house. What's up?
Not too much. Glad to be back.
Glad to be back. Like I said, it's like your statement at this point. If you didn't say it, I'd be like, you all right? You doing okay?
Well, that's why I say it.
Yeah. It's here, always here. I appreciate it.
Oh,
And last but not least, we have Alex Batts. What's up? Why did I say it like that? Like I'm like some kind of game show host.
Yeah, I should get into the game show network hosting. But I'm doing pretty good. Excited to talk about this phenomenal film.
Yes. If you couldn't tell by the title or the thumbnail or basically the first three people saying that we're talking about a movie, we are discussing Logan today. Spoiler-free review and a spoiler-filled discussion. That way people who haven't seen the film can kind of still get our initial thoughts of the movie, and then spoiler filled. That way, you want to talk about them spoilers, we can go ahead and dive into that. But yep, Logan is the 9th film, I believe, by Hugh Jackman. Playing Logan, or Wolverine, if you will. And this is his final send off, if you will. And as somebody who's been a fan of this character since he first debuted it's very depressing knowing that he's leaving the character. And honestly, it really still hasn't sunken in for me that he's done. Part of me still believes that he might come back in some way. Fingers crossed, maybe in like Deadpool 2 or something like that. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and start off with our spoiler-free thoughts. And David, why don't you kick us off since you were the first person to see it out of all of us? What did you think of Logan, spoiler-free?
Spoiler-free. This movie was unbelievable. I think this is the best performance that Hugh Jackman has given us. I'm not taking anything away from the other performances he's given, but if I was just to rank them, I think this would certainly be at the top. He had great chemistry with every single main character, between him and Charles Xavier, or him and X-23, or him and Caliban. There was great chemistry between all of them. I love that within the first 2 minutes of the film, you understand why he gets an R rating as well. And they took the R rating with this film as far as they could push it. And I this isn't a spoiler. You hear Charles Xavier swearing in the trailers, and I was kind of worried that would feel like a bit weird and out of place, but it didn't at all. Any of the times that he cursed, it worked. The movie had everything. It had comedy, action, blood, happy moments, sad moments, heart-wrenching moments. I absolutely loved it. Those are kind of my positives. Do you want negatives now as well?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. I mean, I only have one non-spoiler negative, to be honest. It's the fact that Richard E. Grant, who is kind of the overarching villain, in air quotes, didn't grab me as much as Boyd Holbrook did as Donald Pierce, I think was his name. But
yeah.
That's not that big of a negative. So those are my thoughts. I loved it.
And what would you give it out of 10?
I gave this a 9.5 out of 10. 9.5. Yeah, I think that's one of the highest ratings I've ever given any movie ever.
That's what's up. It earns it. So I mean,
yeah,
I'm kind of with you on that one. But yeah, I kind of really have to echo essentially everything that you said. I mean, Hugh Jackman. I mean, I've always been a fan of him, just like as a person, and including his acting. But this right here was just a whole different level. He brought so much to this character, and I think, like I mentioned before, kind of growing up with the character kind of really made this movie more impactful for me. Just seeing the evolution of Wolverine over the past 17 years or so. It's kind of ridiculous to see. But yeah, no, the movie was fantastic. It's I believe it is my second favorite comic book movie of all time. I'm like trying to talk without spoilers, and it's actually really hard. Like we mentioned before we started. But yeah, X-23. Oh my gosh, I love that character. Like I'm officially an X-23 fan now. I want to go read some Logan some X-23 comics. Andrew, I actually need to talk to you after we're done, so you can suggest some.
It took you long enough.
Yes.
Jeez.
Yes. Patrick Stewart delivered another fantastic performance as Professor X. Just like you, David, the overarching villain. I forget the dude's name. I wish he did more, and I don't know. I feel like they could have been done more with the character. Donald Pierce, he was just a bad guy. You need somebody like him in these kind of movies, and it's a really good movie. A perfect send off for Hugh Jackman. Officially leaving the character. Great film. If you haven't seen it, definitely do. And I think I gave it a 9.8 as well, David. I'm not entirely sure. I think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, fantastic. Please see it. Andrew, what did you think?
I agree with you guys. I absolutely loved it. I think it's probably the most enjoyable film or comic book movie I've seen since like The Dark Knight. That movie just was amazing. I just loved everything about it. But I will agree about the villain. I would have been okay if the villain had just stayed as that Donald Pierce, which is really weird because he could have been such a generic villain, but for some reason, I loved him. Something about him.
I've seen a lot of people saying that. Like Boyd Holbrook did a really, really great job in that role, like just making him more than a generic villain.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess he just bounced off Hugh really well.
Great dialogue.
Yeah. Like you guys said, X-23 was amazing. So that Daphne Keane, she's got a bright future ahead of her.
Yeah.
Of course, it was sad. But I'm not gonna talk. Well, just because it's the last time we're gonna be seeing Hugh Jackman. Well, right now, suiting up as Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to talk without spoilers.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, definitely go see this movie. It is definitely earns that R rating, of course, which I thought fit perfectly. Yeah, I loved it.
Word. And Alex, wrap up the spoiler-free talks for us, please.
Yeah, basically just gotta like echo all of y'all. Absolutely loved it. Stellar performances from the entire cast, really. I have to agree. I think this is Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart's best performances as Logan and Xavier, respectively. Daphne Keane, like you said, Andrew, huge career ahead of her now. She had absolute standout. Loved all the scenes that she was in. Beautifully shot movie, insanely visceral and brutal action. Like you guys said, definitely earned the R rating. I absolutely loved all of the action sequences and scenes in this movie. They definitely stick with you for a while afterwards. I loved how much it's a Logan movie. Like it's a very central like character exploration for him and kind of him at the end of the rope. And I liked seeing that we got kind of the old man Logan-ish storyline, but with X-23 in there too. And I just thought that it worked really well. I loved the story. Like you said, great character dialogue. Boyd Holbrook did a great job. I do agree with the villain complaint that y'all kind of brought up. I didn't really think about it too much until you actually mentioned it. But yeah, the like big bad guy was kind of underwhelming. But that's really the only letdown of the movie. It's absolutely phenomenal film and a must see if you're an X-Men fan, especially a Wolverine fan. But yeah.
Okay. So yep, those are our spoiler-free thoughts. If you have not seen Logan, literally turn off right now because we are diving heavily into spoilers, and I do not want you to be spoiled by this movie by us. We went in essentially without any spoilers, I believe, all four of us. So do yourself a favor and go watch this movie now. But yep, we're gonna hop into spoilers right now. And I know you mentioned that that the villain was the biggest complaint that people had, but for some reason I've been seeing more and more people get upset about the farm scene. Now, I mean, obviously I think you all know what the farm scene is when Patrick Stewart is talking about how he remembers what happened in where is the X Mansion at again?
Westchester.
Okay, Westchester, and he was talking about how I think they hinted at that, like his seizures actually killed the X-Men. Am I right in assuming that? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
like we don't know exactly what happened, but basically there was just an incident, and Charles ended up killing 7 mutants, including some of the X-Men. It's like what the radio.
Was it not
clip said.
700? It was like 700 mutants or something, or it was like
Wait,
600.
Was it
I think
really
it was
that
like
much?
I think he killed 600 people, including many of the X-Men, and then it cut off just after he said
thought it was
X.
I didn't think that the numbers were that high. I thought it was lower whenever I heard it.
Yeah, from what I've heard, people said it was like maybe 7 or and that
he injured a bunch of people. I know that, but the the radio thing only said that like he killed 7, including some of the X-Men, I think, and then Logan like turns it off.
Maybe that was it. Okay, I'll check it. I'm gonna see it again like tomorrow or something. I'll double check that.
But yeah, like he's talking about the incident and how he felt back that because they were spending the night at these people's houses, and he was like, this is like the greatest night that I've had in a really long time, and I feel like I deserve it. And he was giving that whole speech, and then you look at Logan, and it doesn't really look like Logan. He just looks like younger, and then he stabs Professor X through the chest, and then just goes and just mauls the rest of this entire house, and it ends up being a clone of Wolverine, this younger version. I think they called him X-24, right? And for some reason, I've seen some people, not a whole lot of people, but a good amount of people say that this was like the turning point for the movie for them, to the point where they were just like, okay, we could have done without that, because now you have the evil clone, quote unquote, cliche going around, where the younger version has to take on the older version, and like the younger version wins, and then the older guy has to muster up enough strength to show the synthetic one, like, who's the real deal and stuff like that. Were any of you guys like turned off by that scene, or were you kind of thrown back a little bit by them including a Logan clone? Alex, we'll start with you.
Okay, I was kind of hesitant to it about like at first, because it did kind of remind me of the ending of like X-Men Origins Wolverine, where you get the like unbeatable clone at the end that was terrible, but that's not what they turned it into with this. Like, he wasn't really the focus still of like the mission or what they were trying to do in the movie. Like, the movie was about Laura and the kids getting to where they needed to go at the end, and so that was still always like the main objective and focus, I guess. And so the clone was just kind of a byproduct and like just something for them to fight against for that. And so like I didn't really love the inclusion of another like Wolverine clone, but I didn't feel that it detracted as much as it could have, because I feel they handled it pretty well, if that makes sense.
Alex? Oh, not Alex. Freak Ander. Jesus, you guys with the A's, man, killing me.
It was a little weird at first, but I think it didn't really bother me too much. But and I think part of it is probably because he didn't really have a lot of screen time. He was really only in like 2 scenes. On the farm and then at the end in the forest. And I mean, if he was in the movie a little more than he was, that probably would have bothered me. But I mean, like Alex said, the focus of the movie was Laura and Logan and Professor X. So it didn't really bother me too much, I guess. But it was a little weird at first.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was weirded out by it. It was one of those, of course none of us expected to see a young Wolverine going around killing one of our favorite characters, but it was, I wouldn't say it was a tone shift, but it kind of was, because it went from this this dark and gritty quote unquote comic book movie. It didn't really feel like a comic book movie, to like this, like I think Jeremy Jahns put it like a really good way. Like, it almost turns like this horror movie kind of. You've got like this unstoppable force walking through this house, murdering people, and old man Logan doesn't know who's going on. I felt so bad for Professor X, because he's laying there dying, thinking that Logan just stabbed him, and then you see the real Logan walk in, and he's like, it wasn't me. I felt like I literally started tearing up right when he started saying that. I was just like, oh my god, he probably just thinks that freaking Logan just tried to kill him. And I was just like, oh my god, that whole scene was just kind of hard for me to watch, especially just like Hugh Jackman, seeing Professor X kind of just go down like that so easily, though. It's just kind of depressing, and I was just like, no. It's like, I knew that they were going to kill him. I knew, for some reason, I just knew that they were just gonna not keep him alive. But seeing the whole thing play out was just really, really saddening. David, what did you think of the whole like farm scene?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys got it. Like, when I first saw X-24, I wondered if it was like a dream sequence, or I thought it was maybe just someone who was like made to look like Wolverine. But after a few seconds, I was like, no, that's Hugh Jackman. I think X-24. Sorry, what the hell was that? I don't know. That wasn't even English. X-24 was an element that could have gone wrong. I think it could have gone really wrong, and I wasn't really sure how I felt about it at first, but after Logan and X-24 kind of went at each other outside, it kind of worked for me in a way. I was still unsure how I felt about it, even when we saw X-24 at the end, but I'm including it in my positives because overall it worked for me more than it didn't work for me, and it kind of leads me on to my two like spoiler negatives about the whole film, was that I wasn't the biggest fan of the way that Charles Xavier died. I get that you know you had to do it in some way, but I just think it was quite a quick ending for the character, and I get there's a whole emotional side to it, where Charles thinks that Logan stabbed him and all that kind of thing, so I get that there's some emotional weight there, but I just think it was a bit quick, and I would have rather they didn't include the Logan and X-23 standing over the grave in the first trailer, because that immediately told me that Charles was going to die. Like, as soon as I think I said this in the chat, like as the trailer dropped, I was like, guys, that's like, I'm pretty sure that's Charles dying.
Yeah, because I remember telling you to shut up on multiple occasions after you said that.
Yeah, like, and I thought the same thing, because I mean, who else are they standing over with a shovel in the forest, covered in blood?
Exactly.
That was kind of a dead giveaway.
I think it would have impacted me a lot more if they left that shot out of the trailer. Those are my only two negatives, to be honest. My only two spoiler negatives.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have. I wouldn't say it's really a negative. It's more of a complaint, I guess, because I'm greedy. So they keep mentioning in the movie that the mutants are gone and they were wiped out and they don't exist anymore, and essentially that there's maybe a small, very 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 small handful, including Logan, Caliban, Professor X, kind of just there. I would have liked to see some sort of flashback or some sort of something alluding to what exactly happened. I know it's hinted at throughout the entire movie. Professor X says that he hints that he had some involvement in it, and then you have that one guy, I forget the dude's name. He said that he wiped them out as well. So was it like a joint thing? Did he kind of use Professor X's incident at the mansion as a catalyst for his experiment in getting rid of the mutants? Like, what? I feel like there should have been some sort of backstory to that. And I know that there was actually the original opening for Logan actually did feature Professor Xavier in the mansion, I think having a seizure and like killing like mad X-Men. And I would have liked to see something along the lines of that. And then this is also another greedy, I guess, complaint. This was Hugh Jackman's last performance as Wolverine, and we didn't get him in the classic costume. I know that James Mangold had said that it didn't really have a place in this world, and I fully understand. I get that 100%. But again, I would like to see some sort of flashback where maybe like Jean Grey is like sitting down with a bunch of the X-Men, and they're just like they're talking about like costumes, whatever, and they get this one for Logan, and he was just like, no, I'm not wearing that. But she's like, please, just try it on, and we get to see him try it on. He's just like, no, like F this, I'm not wearing it, and then it ends. And you could have had that scene where he was reading the comic, just kind of reminiscing about the good old days, with the X-Men. But I mean, I feel like something like that. Would you guys have been happy to see something like that? I mean, I can't be the only one, right?
I don't think that the costume would have fit in this movie. Honestly, I'm all for 100%. I do wish that we could have seen Hugh Jackman in the classic Wolverine costume while he was still playing Wolverine, but I don't really want it in this one. I don't know. I think it just would have stuck out maybe a little bit too much for this.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about a flashback. I feel like a flashback could have made it work, without.
Yeah, I know, but still, I don't know. I can't see it fitting in there. Like, I think it would have ended up detracting a little bit more and taking me a little bit more out of it than it would have been adding it. Even though it would have been a great fan service moment, but still.
Yeah, I don't think it would have fit in this movie. I think it would have obviously fit better in a flashback. But I don't have any negative thoughts or feelings about the fact that we didn't see him in the costume, because I don't think it would look right in live action. So I think a flashback maybe could have worked depending how you did it, but I honestly have no problems that they didn't do it.
Hey, Andrew, what do you think, man? You guys suck, by the way.
I would have liked to have seen him in the classic costume at some point during these movies, but I agree with you guys, it probably wouldn't have worked in Logan. In the flashbacks, when you were talking about Charles, part of me part of me wants to see what happened with the other X-Men, and then part of me was pretty content with what we got. And just, I guess, using your imagination just to figure out what you thought could have happened to the X-Men and stuff. So I was okay with that. Yeah, I probably would not have liked the classic costume in this movie.
I guess I'm alone then. That's okay. I still stand by what I said. I still think that they could have done it in a way where it didn't stand out. But no, I definitely see where you guys are coming from, because I mean, it would be a drastic, like, you're like, wait, what? Like, there's a costume. You're like, what the heck is this about? But I mean, I still think it could have worked in some way. Hey, David, do you have any like spoiler discussion things that you want to talk about in particular?
I mean, I think we have to mention the forest fight scene towards the end.
I was avoiding that.
Oh, really?
No, as in avoiding it, as in like I don't want to think about it. But go ahead, keep talking.
All right, okay. I just like that forest fight scene blew my mind. Like when Logan injects the whole serum into himself, and then he screams, and you can just see that rage on his face. And then it's him like sprinting through the forest. He's getting shot at. His healing factor is back. And then that shot from the trailer where he's like jumping through the air and like impales the guy in the chest with both claws. That was just awesome. And then of course the ending when X-24 kind of skewers him on the tree. I was seriously getting choked up. I had to genuinely take like slow breaths and look away from the screen because I couldn't handle it. And then I like, again, it's just like the very end when, I was sitting there thinking Hugh Jackman's Wolverine that we have seen for 17 years, 18 years kind of, is in that grave. He's like, this is him going, and it genuinely felt kind of like losing a member of the family, just because we followed him for so long, and it's been like most of our lives. And it's not just everything he gave us in the previous X-Men movies, but everything he did in this movie as well. Just like caring for Charles, sacrificing himself, telling Laura and the other kids to run from X-24, knowing that, this could very well kill him. He was like, right, you kids need to save yourselves. I'm going to just do everything I can, even though I'm probably going to die. You guys need to run. Taking Laura to the other kids. Everything he did in this movie made his death 10 times more impactful and emotional. And then, the final scene when she, like, there's the cross, and then she turns the cross into an X.
That right there was what broke me. As soon as she did that, I was like, I legit just started crying. I was like, frick.
I feel so bad for every other X-Men movie because they can never top that final shot, honestly. Like, you can't do it.
Yeah. Because it was, like, the end of the original X-Men, I guess. Like, that was, like, the final appearance of, any of the original cast that we've seen, I think. And it was incredibly overwhelming and dramatic. I was absolutely floored. If you guys want to weigh in on those scenes, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, speaking on the forest scene in general, I mean, actually, really, not even just the forest scene in general, just the entire movie, but it really kind of, that whole forest scene, and even the scene in the hotel when, like, Charles is having that seizure and Wolverine's trying to get to him to inject him with that serum. That's such a fantastic scene when he's just using his claws to get to him, and then those guys who are just frozen there having their guns trained on Professor X, and then they look over to their right and they see Wolverine just stabbing people in the face. Like, this movie is brutal. When I say that this is the most violent we've ever seen, Logan, I mean that without a shadow of a doubt, 100%. You have never seen Wolverine on a big screen like this before. There's blood, there's decapitation, and it's just this is nasty. Like, I think this was one where he stabs a dude in the back of the head and it comes out his cheek. I was like, oh my god! Like, this dude just got freaking destroyed. But yeah, no, oh man, this movie's so good. I need to go watch it again because I'm like sitting here thinking about it, and I just need to see it again and all that stuff. But yeah, the forest scene was really, really, really cool. I enjoyed us finally really seeing that Wolverine Berserker rage, like, in its full glory, where he's just running and he's just stabbing. We get to see old man Logan as young Logan in his prime, cutting people down, jumping around, doing all this crazy stuff, and then you have X-23 hopping in. When the serum starts to wear down, she's hopping in. Her and her dad are just kicking ass, and I was like, yo, man, it's so good. But actually, speaking of him even being her dad. I did not know that in the comics is that how it is? Is that her dad?
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, later on, she pretty much looks up to him as her dad.
That's freaking wild. Yeah, because I didn't know that. I didn't know that I knew she was crafted, that she was like some sort of Wolverine clone, but I didn't know that that she was crafted from his DNA, so that would technically make her his child. And I thought that was a pretty cool aspect.
Yeah.
I thought they were just going to kind of have that father-daughter kind of bond without really being, that. But I think really having that, and then at the end when she's like, he's dying and she's saying dad, I was like, ugh! I'm like, don't cry! It sucks! But, yeah, it was just, man, gosh, bro. I'm just, it's crazy to think that it's finally over. Like I mentioned in the beginning, I still haven't fully wrapped my head around the fact that he's gone. That Wolverine is officially gone, and we won't see Hugh Jackman on the big screen as Wolverine ever again, to our knowledge at least. Yeah, I mean, I know eventually that they're going to try, and try is the key word, to recast Wolverine. But if I'm being 100% and completely honest right now, I would rather never see Wolverine on the big screen again than see someone else play this character. Because I believe that there is not a single actor alive right now that could portray Wolverine in a way that could even come close or even do a good job compared to Hugh Jackman, because he is that character. Whenever I see Hugh Jackman, I see Wolverine. Whenever I see Professor X, whenever I see Patrick Stewart, I see Charles Xavier, Professor X. So I think I watched a video earlier today and they were talking about, oh, here's 10 actors who could portray Wolverine, and I was just like, no, hell no. And I just don't see anybody, actually doing this character justice. Honestly, what about you? Do you guys think anything like that?
I can't see anyone doing it. I think they should go with X-23. They're keeping Wolverine in future movies, and also not cast someone. Don't skip any time and cast someone older to make her more like her comic counterpart. Daphne Keane needs to play X-23 if they do future movies, because she absolutely killed it, literally, in that role. And just seeing her, like, absolutely amazing performance, and her and Hugh, like you said, just tearing people to shreds on screen was insane, and I just want more of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think. Sorry, no, go on.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think they should wait, 10, 15 years. I think they're obviously going to
solid
recast
174
Wolverine.
years until they cast Wolverine.
Yeah. They are gonna do Wolverine again. I think it's gonna happen. I think Hugh Jackman made Wolverine arguably the most popular X-Men character amongst the non-comic book fan base, the non-comic book readers at least. I think the best thing that Fox could do is I think I've mentioned this maybe previous weeks, but do 1 or 2 more X-Men films with the younger cast, and then wait 10, 15, 20 years, and then or I'll say 10, 15 years, and then reboot X-Men with a whole new cast, whole new Wolverine, and take her from there.
How old is X-23 in the comics? Just out of curiosity.
She's around 18 to 20.
18 as well. Okay. Damn, bro. We have to wait. That means we have to wait a long time for freaking. Man, that sucks. I'm thinking about and I like your idea of them just going with an X-23 movie, because I feel like Logan could actually lead into a new X-Men franchise, kind of, because the kids they're mutants. A lot of them have similar powers to the previous X-Men that we've seen, like Sunspot and Iceman, and I think some Jean Grey-esque capabilities. I feel like this could lead into a new thing, because they went to Eden, or at least I think that's what the place was called, right? It was called Eden.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, they went there. Who knows what's there? We never actually got to see it. But I feel like it could lead to something. And also, I just realized something, that this movie low-key kind of sets up X-23 wearing the costume. I'm stuck on the costume right now, but just hear me out. So she reads X-Men comics, obviously. They're in her bag, and she's a huge Wolverine fan. She's a huge fan of the X-Men, and I feel like by Logan dying, she could end up wearing that costume kind of as a memory to him, somewhat like that. So I don't know. Maybe we end up seeing X-23 in the costume somehow. I like the costume. So
I don't know. Do you like the Wolverine costume, Josh?
yes, just a little, just a little bit, I don't know. It's just because it's not like any other costume in the comics. You know, he's got like these weird like pointy ears, and then I think it's like sleeveless or whatever, and then the gloves that he wears were like nice little spots for his claws to pop out. It's just cool. I like it. It's nice.
Would you guys be up?
Go ahead.
I've interrupted.
You're fine.
Would you guys be up for a Deadpool X-23 movie?
Yeah, X-Force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I because I would love to see that, but because she's so young, I don't think I could see it happening.
Okay.
But I mean, who knows? I'm all for new things involving X-23. That character's badass, man. Jesus.
Yeah.
I was wondering if they were gonna do like her claws and her foot, because I had watched the video before I went, just kind of do like a history of it video on X-23. Excuse me. And they were like, oh yeah, you know, she's got I knew about the two claws in her hands, and I mentioned the one in her feet, and I was just like, huh. I was like, I wonder if they're gonna do that. And then as she's getting dragged away, the bling, I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh my god, there it is. I was like a schoolgirl, just freaking getting all happy about it. But yeah, no, this movie is fantastic. Do you guys have anything else to add to this? To like spoiler discussions?
Sure. I'm just going to add everything you guys said about X-23. I definitely think that they should go that route instead of trying to recast Logan. And then just talking about some of the other spoilery things. I went to the movie with my brother, and I told him after the movie, I said, I could have watched like a 4 to 5 hour movie of just Logan and Laura just interacting with one another, because I loved that father-daughter dynamic just so much. And I just thought they just were perfect. And the forest scene, just like what you guys said, just brutal and amazing, fantastic action. And then the last shot, just like you guys, just killed me. But it was so beautiful. So,
I mean, it's hard to compare this to any other X-Men movie because it is so different. You know, this is a Western. This is the thing that kind of struck me is this is a movie about being broken. Like, Charles is broken. The X-Men themselves as a team are broken. Logan is physically and, you know, to an extent mentally broken. It's about families breaking. So it's just so different to any other X-Men movie that we've seen. It's its own thing. You know, if you're listening to this and your friends are like, oh, I'm kind of sick of comic book movies, go and see this comic book movie. Go and see Logan, because it's so different to anything that we've seen before.
Absolutely.
And I love that they went that route. I love that they gave them the freedom to make a completely different Western R-rated version of Logan that fans and Hugh Jackman have both been waiting to do.
And
exactly. Such a different take.
I said something on Twitter, and I mean, I think for the majority of people kind of agree with me, and I fully stand by this statement. I believe that Logan isn't the best X-Men movie. I think people don't give it that much credit. I believe it's the best movie featuring a Marvel character. I feel like this beats anything that like MCU related by a long shot. I don't care what movie it is. Even my favorite movie, Winter Soldier, in there. I believe that this movie is better than every other Marvel movie that's come out. And yeah, honestly.
Yeah. It's kind of difficult when I'm trying to rank things, because it's like, well, this movie was really, really like spectacular, but at the same time, it's like, you know.
But was it Logan spectacular? That's the important question.
Well, like that's what I'm talking about. Like, Logan was unbelievable, but it's like you know, when you see all the Avengers together, that's also awesome. And it's kind of different. It's like two different lists. It's like there's the list where Logan is the top because it was just so unbelievable, so different. They did such an incredible job on it. And then on the other list, it's like it's like, you know, Captain America: The Winter Soldier's top, because it's kind of like you've maybe I don't know. It's hard for me to rank movies in this way, like, because they're just so different. So that's why I think it's really hard to compare them and like rank them.
But for me, I would definitely say this is probably the Dark Knight of Marvel movies. Even though I really hate that phrase, the Dark Knight of Marvel movies, because it's just like, I don't know. It just kind of
Dark Knight of Ren.
irks me. But I mean, it is Marvel's kind of. It's definitely Marvel's darkest film. I'll tell you that, by a long shot.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus. But yeah, no, definitely. If you haven't seen Logan, definitely do so. You're doing yourself a disservice by not seeing this in theaters. You need to see this in theaters. Don't wait for it to go up on the App Store or the freaking iTunes, whatever. Don't wait for it to bootleg it off of the freaking internet, because if you do, I will find you and I will stab you. So yeah, there's that. You guys have anything else to add before we get out of here?
I think that it just kind of speaks to, like, y'all were talking about, like, the quality of the comic book movie. Like, just shows what a comic book movie can be and, like, should be if someone has the, like, vision for it, and, like, either the story or the character or whatever, and they're able to fully go through with that. And it also, I think it's important to realize that it's not, like, one thing that makes the movie so great. Like, this movie's not great because it was rated R, and, like, which a lot of people are pushing now on other movies, but, like, it's just great because they had the vision for it, and the R rating is just something that came along with it. Like, you just need to get these people working together with these movies that have an idea of what they want to do with these characters and where to take the film, and then just let them execute that to the fullest extent. And they definitely did that with Logan.
Yep, and Logan proves, as it really needed proving,
Exactly.
that not every comic book movie needs to be bright and sunny and fun and jokey and like all this stuff. So now you can get off of DC's back. That's awesome. I appreciate it. That's awesome.
I one thing I did forget to add, though, that scene that's in the trailer, when it's Logan, X-23, and Charles, and that family in the sort of farmhouse, and they're having dinner, and they're all just, like, smiling and being a family. That hits you so much harder in the movie, I think, than it does in the trailer. Just once you're with the characters, even for, like, I don't know, maybe that's, like, is that, like, an hour in, maybe, to the film or something?
It's like an hour and 45, I think.
Yeah. So, it's like, once that scene appears in the movie, it hit me so much harder than when I saw it in the trailer, because you understand a bit more about what they've been through.
Yeah, fantastic film. But yeah, that's our get.
I just have to add real quick. I'm sorry. Just kind of going off what Alex said about the R-rated, and this made me a lot more excited for future X-Men movies from Fox, just because of, if you look at Deadpool and now you look at Logan, and it's not that they're R-rated that makes them so good, it's that they're true to their character and they understand these characters, and that's what we get in these movies now. And if they can apply these to their future X-Men movies, we can have some really good movies coming up. So, I mean, I'm now so excited for X-Force, just because I've seen what they do with Deadpool. I've seen the brutality and what they can do with a character like Logan. I think that movie could be incredible.
Who knows? Maybe we might actually get a good freaking Fantastic Four movie. Who knows? Fingers crossed, right?
Good one.
Hey man, I can dream.
Well,
who knows?
End the podcast with a joke. Yeah, good one. Yeah.
But yeah, that's our Logan review. Thank you all for listening and letting us ramble about this fantastic movie. If this movie needs to win some freaking award, I swear to God, this movie better win something.
Oh yeah.
It deserves it. Whether it's Hugh Jackman or Patrick Stewart or just the movie in general, nomination for Best Picture. I'm calling it now, just because it's that good. But yeah, like I said, thank you for joining us today. And now we selfishly plug our social media. So, Alex, where can people find you on Twitter?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at APBatman with 2 T's, and then also on our weekly comic roundup for the drop that we do almost every week. Didn't this past week, but we'll have one coming up this upcoming one. So be sure to check that out if you like and read all the latest comics and want some opinions on that. But yeah.
Word. David, what about you, mate? Sorry, I had to.
You guys can find me on Twitter and
horrible,
Instagram.
by the way.
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at David Hutchison _ and don't be what they made you. If you've seen the film, you will understand.
I was like, wait, what is he talking about? Andrew?
I'm on Twitter at AnderWriter. I do the weekly comic roundup with Alex as well. Oh my God.
Somebody's
Try
dog
that
just
again.
went ham.
Sorry, that was my dog. Yeah, that was my dog. Sorry. I'm on Twitter at AnderWriter. I'm with Alex with the weekly comic roundup. Come on by, talk comics, talk movies, Aquaman, anything you want.
Word. I want to talk to you about that Aquaman footage that came out. We're gonna talk about it on this podcast coming up for this week. But Andrew, what did you think of that Aquaman footage we got?
I'm sorry. The Aquaman what?
The Aquaman footage that we got?
Oh, so good. I'm so excited. Looks so good.
Yeah. We're gonna dive into that conversation with this podcast episode that's coming up after this one. But you can find me on Twitter at really sharp. I got a new @. I'm really happy about it because it's cool. It's sharp with an E. It's a play on my last name. So yeah, at really sharp. You can also find me on Instagram at DCU News. And as always, keep it locked to dropnews.com for the latest news in literally everything except for anime. At least not yet. Yeah. See you guys later. Peace.